Abraham Lincoln, an unknown lawyer with a cause. Stephen Douglas, the most powerful senator in America. One fought to end slavery. The other fought to control it. Their battles weren't just debates, they were the first political war covered like a national spectacle. This is the true story of ambition, betrayal, and the scandalous rivalry that changed history. Let's dive into 10 facts they never wanted you to know. Number 1. Douglas publicly humiliated Lincoln, calling him a race traitor. On September 18, 1858, in Charleston, Illinois, Stephen Douglas delivered one of the most inflammatory speeches of the campaign. Before a crowd of thousands, he accused Abraham Lincoln of believing in racial equality and wanting to legalize interracial marriage. "Do you desire to turn this government into a Negro equality?" he shouted. "Do you want your daughters marrying Negroes?" The crowd erupted. This wasn't a slip. Douglas was deliberately playing to the racist fears of white voters in southern Illinois. Lincoln, visibly shaken, responded the next day by reaffirming his opposition to slavery but distancing himself from full racial equality. He stated, "I am not, nor ever have been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races." It was a defensive move, and one that damaged his moral clarity in the eyes of abolitionists. Douglas's attack worked. He won the Senate seat. Did Douglas win by playing dirtier than anyone else in American politics? Number 2. Lincoln may have leaked secrets about Douglas's slave wealth. Stephen Douglas married Martha Martin in 1847, daughter of a powerful Mississippi planter. When she died in 1853, Douglas inherited a vast estate, including land worked by enslaved African Americans in Lawrence County, Mississippi. While publicly claiming he had no personal stake in slavery, Douglas quietly sold off portions of this property and profited from the labor of enslaved people. In 1858, just as the Senate campaign intensified, newspapers like the Chicago Press and Tribune began reporting on Douglas's financial ties to slavery. The leak came at a convenient time, right as Lincoln's campaign needed a moral wedge. Though never directly proven, some historians believe that Lincoln's allies, particularly Norman Judd and Jesse Fell, strategically leaked these records to the press. Historian Alan Gelzo even called it an early masterclass in political damage control. Did Lincoln fight with honor or with political sabotage? Number 3. A secret deal. Douglas offered to end his campaign for a cabinet job. In the closing days of 1860, as the country teetered toward civil war, rumors swirled in Illinois political circles. According to post-war recollections from figures like Leonard Swett and John Nicolay, Douglas's allies privately approached Lincoln's team with a proposition, offered Douglas a seat in the cabinet, perhaps Secretary of State, and in return, Douglas would temper his campaign and urge Northern Democrats to accept Lincoln's win. Lincoln refused. He didn't trust Douglas, and he knew any alliance with a man seen as a compromiser on slavery would alienate his Republican base. The offer was never made public, but several political insiders confirmed its existence in later memoirs. If true, it reveals Douglas's desperation to maintain relevance and a willingness to sacrifice principle for power. Was the little giant just angling for a seat at the table? Number 4. Douglas funded his rise using bribes and railroad kickbacks. Douglas's meteoric rise wasn't powered by ideas alone, it was powered by railroad money. In 1850, he championed the Illinois Central Railroad Act, which granted over 2.5 million acres of federal land to build a north-south line across Illinois. Shortly after, Douglas received $5,000 in legal fees from the railroad, more than $180,000 today, a move his opponents branded as insider corruption. The New York Tribune and Chicago Tribune ran exposes questioning how Douglas, born poor in Vermont, had suddenly become a wealthy landowner and political kingmaker. Though he denied wrongdoing, Douglas's real estate dealings and his aggressive protection of the railroad industry in the Senate raised eyebrows and suspicions. He wasn't just a senator. He was a political machine with a personal fortune to protect. Number 5. The media was in Douglas's pocket and Lincoln knew it. By 1858, Douglas had most major Illinois newspapers on his side, and not because they agreed with him. His campaign, with help from Democratic donors, paid off editors across the state. The Illinois State Register, for instance, received direct contributions in exchange for glowing coverage. Lincoln had no such resources. Instead, he ghostwrote anonymous letters under pseudonyms like An Old Linewig and sent them to neutral or friendly outlets like the Chicago Press and Tribune. His strategy was guerrilla media warfare. Privately, Lincoln lamented the media imbalance. Judge Douglas writes checks. I write sentences. Number 6. Lincoln's team considered planting hecklers at Douglas events. In one of the more cunning political tactics of the campaign, Judge David Davis, Lincoln's close advisor, discussed planting audible dissenters at Douglas rallies. These operatives would shout out embarrassing questions, cite Douglas's previous contradictions, or disrupt applause. The plan is mentioned in notes preserved in Davis's papers. It's unclear if it was ever fully carried out, but it reveals that Lincoln's campaign was willing to bend ethical lines in response to Douglas's overwhelming control of the press and the stage. In a battle for the soul of America, even the high road got muddy. Number 7. Douglas's drinking problem became a political weapon. Stephen Douglas was charismatic, quick-witted, and notoriously fond of whiskey. Nicknamed the Little Giant for his short stature and massive presence, Douglas was rumored to drink heavily before and after debates. While he never appeared drunk on stage, whispers circulated. One Lincoln aide wrote, "It would not surprise me to see Mr. Douglas fall from the stage, not from defeat, but from drink." Abolitionist newspapers labeled him the drunken demagogue, and his red-faced rage during debates only fueled the image. Lincoln never attacked him for it directly, but he didn't need to. The public already knew. Number 8. Douglas's final act, he begged the South not to rebel and was booed. As Southern states began seceding, Douglas tried to step in as a national unifier. In Norfolk, Virginia, in early 1861, he delivered a passionate plea: if war comes, the South will lose everything: blood, land, and liberty. But the crowd turned on him. He was booed off stage, accused of betrayal by Confederate sympathizers. Douglas returned to Chicago physically and emotionally broken. On June 3, 1861, he died suddenly, officially of typhoid fever, though some speculated it was an alcohol-related collapse or even suicide. Lincoln, despite their history, ordered all flags lowered to half-staff, calling him a patriot at last. Number 9. Their final meeting was awkward and possibly chilling. In February 1861, weeks before Lincoln's inauguration, Stephen Douglas visited him in Springfield. Witnesses described the encounter as tense and cold. Douglas allegedly warned, "They will not accept a Republican in the White House." Lincoln is said to have replied, softly, "Then they will meet the Union steel." The meeting lasted less than 30 minutes, and both men avoided eye contact for most of it, according to Lincoln's secretary, John Nicolay. That same week, Douglas reportedly told a colleague, "If Lincoln fails, the Union fails with him," a rare moment of grim solidarity from a lifelong rival. Number 10. Their war of words turned into real war. The Lincoln-Douglas debates were more than political theater. They were the spark before the explosion. Their fights over slavery, race, federal power, and morality dominated headlines in 1858 and shaped the national conversation heading into the 1860 election. Douglas's doctrine of popular sovereignty split the Democrats. Lincoln's anti-slavery message unified the new Republicans. When Lincoln won with only 39.8% of the vote, the South seceded and the war began. By April 1861, just weeks after Douglas's death, Fort Sumter fell and the first shots of the Civil War were fired. Many historians believe that without the Lincoln-Douglas rivalry, the moral and political lines might not have hardened so quickly, delaying, or even reshaping, the path to war.